Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a video for Houston Rockets Daily. We're actually going to talk about Kyrie Irving making his way to the Houston Rockets. I know it's very far-fetched and it's probably very unlikely, but we're going to discuss a hypothetical just because why not? Why not? Or actually, there is a reason behind it. Before we get into it, if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button for daily Rockets content, and as always, drop a like on the video. All my socials are down below, including a Discord where we're looking for new members, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. So Ted Cruz had a tweet about, or had a quote about Kyrie Irving today, and I don't even want to talk about Ted Cruz at all. I'll try to make this video like negative politics. Basically, Kyrie Irving just got fined recently for sitting on the Brooklyn Nets bench, which is absurd because if he was just 2 rows back, the state of New York, or however the hell that COVID stuff is working over there, they'd have no issue with it. So, you know, we all know Kyrie Irving isn't vaccinated, and it caused a lot of like commotion at the beginning of the season, but now, if anything, I feel like people are applauding Kyrie for standing ground, standing pat to his morals and to his beliefs. So we had Ted Cruz come out here, and I like literally don't know like a dime about Ted Cruz. So here's the quote. "If Brooklyn won't let Kyrie play, I'm going to make a pitch to you directly. Kyrie, come to Houston, play for the Rockets. We'll let you play. Uncle Drew's being benched by asinine Democratic theater." This is stupid. I don't know that last part there, but I thought it was interesting because here's, first off, like I said, this is a very unlikely situation. I would imagine that New York's going to lift their mandate or whatever they need to do to let Kyrie Irving play in their home games come playoff time. Like, it's just going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, that's very ridiculous. But the real reason I want to make this video is because, you know, below this to all the replies, there's just so many comments about like, no, we don't want Kyrie. Like, we don't want Kyrie, blah, blah, blah. We don't want Kyrie. Man, if you have the opportunity to get Kyrie Irving, I am not saying no. I am not saying no to Kyrie Irving coming to Houston to play basketball. I love Kevin Porter Jr. In fact, I made a video yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, maybe 24 hours ago, I made a video saying, don't give up on Kevin Porter Jr. And I'm still standing pat on that. Like, obviously, I don't want the Houston Rockets to give up on Kevin Porter Jr., but at the same time, I wouldn't be like all that distressed if they were to draft like a possible, maybe not necessarily a replacement, but if they were to draft like somebody who could possibly replace him when the time does come. I feel like Kevin Porter Jr., he honestly does all of his work when he's a scorer. Like, he's just like a straight up scorer. So is Jalen Green. So I've seen a lot of stuff about KPJ moving to the 6-man role, which is why I was really surprised to see all the negative responses to having Kyrie come play in Houston. First things first, Kyrie's 29 years old. He's 29 years old. I felt, when I first found that out, it honestly kind of surprised me because I remember like Kyrie and Steph battling it out in the NBA Finals just, 6 years ago? Like, 6 years ago feels like a whole lifetime. It feels like over a decade ago. And Kyrie at that time was just 24 years old. He's only 29. I feel like when he went to Boston for those 2 seasons, that's where he kind of like fell off, just because I felt like Boston wasn't really exceeding their expectations. You know, it's not like Boston was a championship contending team. You know, they had championship aspirations, but they just weren't competing for an NBA Finals like the Cleveland Cavaliers were, and like the hope is with the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons there now. So if you have the opportunity to get a career 23-6 player, I'm saying yes to that. But this year, let's take a look at him, because this is like this is one of those 50, 40, 90 players. Like, why would you not accept a 50, 40, 90 guy who is in his prime? It makes zero sense to me. If the Rockets were to actually formulate a trade for Kyrie, because he's under contract for, you know, the 15 games or so of this season, and then he's under contract next season, maybe Houston would be able to figure something out. You know, I think a couple of things would have to happen. There'd have to be some disgruntlement in Brooklyn. I think New York would actually and I think this is super unlikely, New York would probably have to come out and say, like, we're not lifting the mandate, like, Kyrie can't play at home for the time being. Like, for another extended period of time, unvaccinated players cannot play home games for the Brooklyn Nets. And so I think that would have to happen. I think maybe the Ben Simmons situation would have to get super complicated and or not work out. Like, I still don't even know what's going on with Ben Simmons. Why is he not playing basketball? Like, this guy was sitting on his ass for, it felt like, the entire season playing video games. Like, you should have been in the damn gym working on your body, working on your game. I'm not trying to go off on Ben Simmons. I'm just saying, like, why the hell is he not back? I thought it was clear he didn't want to play in Philadelphia, and he was healthy, and when he got traded, he was going to, like, immediately play, just like James Harden. So I think that would have to happen, and then you'd have to have, like, either Kyrie or KD just say, like, this isn't working. You know, this just isn't working. And then if the Brooklyn Nets were to actually blow up and try and build around Ben Simmons as being kind of like their cornerstone and just go in full-scale rebuild mode, that's where this would play in. And also for the Houston Rockets long-term would be awesome, because we have, like, a ton of their first-round picks. In fact, we have theirs this year, which is still hovering at, 15 or 16? I can't quite remember, but there's still some, like, solid, like, Brooklyn isn't playing great right now. Like, I think they're on a, like, 4-game winning streak right now, but Brooklyn has been a brutal season for them for a bunch of different reasons. I'm just saying, I don't think it's all that crazy. Like I said, I think it's unlikely, very unlikely, that Kyrie either gets traded in the near future before his contract's up, or, like, comes to the Houston Rockets. 2 years from now, less than 2 years from now, a year and a half from now in free agency, maybe Kyrie could come to Houston. He'd be about 31 at that point, and I'm just not, like, ultra sold on that. I think it would be cool, because obviously if I want to trade for him, I'm going to want to re-sign him, but I just feel like with all of our assets, my hope is that, like, Brooklyn, their players kind of start to get disgruntled and start requesting trades, which lowers their value. And since we have so many assets, so much draft capital, and young promising players, even just guys like Jae'Sean Tate, I think getting Kyrie, a player like Kyrie, a star type of player, that's in the cards for Houston very, very soon. Like, in fact, I would say next season, Houston should be in the running for, like, disgruntled stars. But Kyrie this year, man, you're looking at a 26 point per game. You're looking at 5 rebounds. You're looking at 5 assists. You're looking at over a steal. He's shooting 48% from the field. He's shooting 41% from downtown. Obviously, 90% three-point free throw shooter. Why would you not want Kyrie here? Come on, let's be real here. You get Kyrie here, you'd run a starting lineup consisting of, like, Kyrie, Jalen Green. This is where things get a little bit dicey. One of our like, maybe if you get Jabari, you throw him at the 3, and then you have Wood at the 4, Şengün at the 5. But realistically, if we're more realistically speaking for next year, I would say probably something of, like, a, Kyrie, Jalen, Jae'Sean Tate, and then the 4 and 5 would either be, like, Christian Wood and, like, Banchero or Chet or Jabari, something like that. So, like, and then you got your 6-man, KPJ. You also have Josh Christopher off of the bench. You also have Şengün off of the bench. Like, that's a playing team right there. That's definitely a playing team. So, let me know down below in the comment section. Would you like to see Kyrie in a Houston Rocket jersey anytime soon? Or what are your thoughts on it? Just drop it down below. Hit the like button. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.